for Coca-Cola, water is a strategic business imperative, right? So the things that we're doing around water in our plants, in making Coca-Cola and juices and teas, and the things we're doing with partners like WWF, and in this case, the United Nations, we're doing them because they're critical for the survival of our business, not because we want necessarily to build reputation or to convince people to buy more Coca-Cola. And there's one reason why that is the case. We're not an export business. We have almost 1,000 manufacturing plants around the world. And each one of those plants, like the one here near Marseille, or one of the 54 in India, or the 42 and growing in China, they serve a market. Their marketplace, their customers, their community is exactly where the plant is, right? So we're not making the iPad in China and Malaysia and shipping it to San Francisco. We're not making the car in Mexico and shipping it to Detroit in Europe. We're making that Coca-Cola and we're serving that local community. We don't ship it from one country to the next or even within the country. So when we think about water and how critical it is to our business, it's also critical to the community and to the environment. So we have to partner to help make that community and that environment more sustainable. And so we do it from a business perspective. And if we're discovered doing it, as you've discovered us here, that's great, but it's not to sell more Coca-Cola, it's to enable our business to exist, and that is what sells more product.
As my colleague has stated, water is vital for the Coca-Cola business, and the water issue cannot be solved only by governments, by NGOs, by civil society, or by the private sector. We really need to partner. Obviously, this partnership culture was not the case maybe 2 decades ago, because the governments were owning that responsibility. Now they also rely on the business and the civil society. The data shows that 2/3 of the global employment is generated by private sector, and 3/4 of the GDP globally is also generated by the private sector. So the solutions cannot be reached without having the private sector involved. So with our sincere efforts within, we were able to convince some of the major partners, and to be honest, 10 years ago it was more challenging. Now we became an invited partner that they all want to work with, because we address certain solutions in many parts of the world in dialogue with our partners.
Coca-Cola is a global company, but we act locally in the markets where the needs arise from. The second point I would like to say, what my colleague mentioned, is that we believe in true PPPP. And what is that PPPP? Public-Private People Partnership. And only if this partnership succeeds, we find the community projects on water or on energy will be sustainable. Without that, you can't, you sometimes wonder, how will you take it to the next level? And that's some of the... So I would just like to give you an example in India of a public-private people partnership, which right now we are working not only in communities, but we are working with schools and the government, and it is called Support My School. Support My School is a unique program where we have partnered with UN Habitat. We have partnered with one of the development agencies which builds toilets in India called Sulabh. And what is the aim of the program? The aim of the program is that make education holistic. And what do you mean by holistic? You have to give the basic services like water, whether it is a replenishment of water for the school, drinking water for the children, and sanitation for the children, for becoming them, for making sure that the education becomes a pleasure and not a pain. And that is something which we started the partnership with these 3 core partners and a media channel called NDTV in India, has now grown into a multifarious partnership with people like Pearson Foundation, who are adding libraries, Tata's, which is a big brand name in India, wanting to offer internet and computers in the schools. And we are looking forward, such global forums provide us to look for more partners, more associations. And from those 100 schools, we want to now go to 1,000 schools in India, and that's why we're here.